I think it's server side.
Meh, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah,
Wait.
because your encoder, unless there was an update that happened super recently that made your encoder completely useless. This isn't computer based because you restarted. This isn't, this doesn't seem to be encoder based because your encoder seems to be functioning properly, seems to be reporting accurately, at least as far as it's concerned. It seems to be YouTube server side, which means there's really nothing we can do.
Well, I'm looking at the YouTube.
According to a fan that just sent me a DM about the stream because they're kind of wondering what was going on, it just said just having some technical difficulties. It might just be a YouTube problem. They're working on it. He says, honestly, I have a theory. There's a huge Minecraft championship going on. All the big Minecraft names are streaming at once right now.
Well, I'm looking at the stream right now on my computer, and it says we're live now.
Oh.
Yeah, people are saying they can finally hear us. It looks like we're actually on now.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
I think I figured it out. I checked the settings. When you set up a stream ahead of time, there's something that's called Enable Auto Start, which apparently tells the YouTube stream itself on YouTube's end to start once the software gets going, and that was apparently switched off for some dumb reason. So.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So.
Well, that means we are on.
Yeah, we are live.
All right.
So I will do what I tried to do last time, and say to younger viewers, there's a very likely chance that mature topics will be discussed, so you probably shouldn't be watching. I'm required to say that, so now that it's said, welcome to Gab Hominem. Sorry for starting so late. That was a one button setting that I forgot to check before we started, but my apologies for that. But welcome to Gab Hominem, everybody. This is going to be a fun stream because this is a musically focused stream from the online creator community. And this week is actually Chroma9 and Chi-chi, a couple of online-based musicians that I find very fun. Quite a few people know about them. If you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Hi there. I'm Chroma9. I guess I'm a musician.
Hi, I'm Chi-chi. Most people know me for singing, but I also do composing and a little bit of production on the side.
And I'm
and
the
lyrics.
co-host. Oh, yeah. There
Sorry.
you go.
Sorry.
No problem. And I'm the co-host for this lovely little thing, Aidan. I'm also a musician myself, so this will be a really fun discussion to have.
It will be a very fun discussion because I've talked previously with community managers, voice actors, a couple of different artists. We've had input from that end, but music is, while a little bit similar to voice acting, it's also its own thing. And music is also, it's something that a lot of us, probably all of us, if not most of us, are very familiar with, very passionate about. And it does get involved with a lot of different things, whether it's art, animation, or games, or whatever the case. So I think there's going to be a lot of interesting things to kind of discuss here with this. But with Gab Hominem, it's not just talking about their work itself, but how their respective careers or hobbies, whatever the case would be, kind of affects how, I guess not so much how they are, but affects their experiences and how things would turn out for them. So to that end, we're going to start with the usual context establishing questions, which for both of you would be, where are you guys from, and how do with the places that you guys were basically raised in, more or less, how have those places provided any kind of influence for how you guys are today? What, how you came out?
That's an interesting question. So for the most part, in terms of where I'm from, I used to live on the East Coast for a long time, and then when I was about 13, something like that, I moved over to the West Coast. But in terms of how that affected me musically or artistically, I don't know. I actually haven't thought about it that much. But in terms of where I get most of my musical influences from, I suppose one example is that my parents would listen to Allison Cruz and Cat Stevens a lot when I was a kid. And so I think those might have affected my lyrical and kind of like maybe some of my singing style somewhat.
All right.
Yeah.
And as for like where those, how those places have been towards you, like personally, like do you think they've had an influence on your character in a way?
I mean, no matter everywhere you go, has some effect on your character and kind of your personality in one regards or another. I don't know specifically how that would have affected me. Unfortunately, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
What about you, Chroma?
I was just thinking that Chi-Chi's story kind of lines up with mine. I currently live and grew up on the East Coast. I moved west for 3 years when I was 13. And now I'm back, so interesting coincidence. How they've affected me, I don't think they really did, because it really wasn't too much until, while I was out west is when I kind of started really getting into vocal work. But it just didn't really, I guess you'd say it really wasn't my full thing. It's when I got back that I really started getting into creating music, because it was just something I would be off, doing my own thing, kind of, I don't know how to word it properly. I was a bit of a loner through, I guess I'd say, my high school years. So for me, it was just, I wanted to write music I wanted to hear, I guess, and that's kind of, how that influenced my music is just, I moved around. I felt a lot, because outside of moving west, I did move around a lot. So, yeah.
I feel that. It seems like there's some of that motion, some of that moving around that could have contributed, in a way, shape, or form to kind of a different way of viewing the music that you wanted to produce. And also, Chi-chi, Alison Krauss. My parents still listen to Alison Krauss, like, a lot. Union Station, like, all the time. It's going on in the living room, especially when I'm trying to record. Yeah.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Not that I mind there being a little bit of Alison Krauss influence in some of my stuff, but I don't want there to actually be Alison Krauss in my stuff.
So, given that this is kind of like a musically focused episode here, one question I do want to ask before we get to any of the next main questions I usually have. I think Chi-Chi's already mentioned a little bit of it, but like, what specific influences got you guys into making music? Is there anything that you can name specifically that pushed you into actually taking action? I'm gonna record music now.
Oh, Vocaloid. Definitely Vocaloid, and kind of that whole side, the whole Vocaloid side of the YouTube community is what really influenced me in terms of like, I want to do this now. Because I was really kind of fascinated with, I was a weeb. I'm still a weeb. I'm not going to lie. And so learning about like Vocaloid and like anime music, also back in the day, Mermaid Melody was really big at that time. So like I was really huge into that. So music was definitely like the thing at the time. And I was like, I want to get involved with that too. So when I was in sophomore year of high school, that's when I got my first laptop with like any recording materials and stuff like that. And it just kind of started from there. I didn't have any besides my laptop, I didn't really have anything like super professional. I started with a laptop mic and everything.
Now, what exactly is the Vocaloid like program? Because I've never actually looked into it myself, so I don't know what it actually is or does.
Vocaloid is basically a software that replicates the human voice. They are based off of banks of real people who sing different notes into the program itself, and then you can actually make a voice block of sorts with it.
It's very interesting and very cool. The main ones are made, like the most famous ones are made by a company called Krypton Software.
Yep, that's correct.
But the actual composing program that's used to handle these, what are essentially VSTs that are made by Krypton is made by Yamaha, which is called the Vocaloid. That's the Vocaloid program. And then you take these different aspects and put them into it. And then just recently, I think even just this past year, Krypton released their own standalone composition software that now their VSTs can natively plug into, and that's got a lot of people very excited.
Yeah.
If I had to take a guess, VST something to the effect of like vocal synthesizing technology, I think.
VST is a plugin. There are VSTs for audio effects and in instruments. It's a way of saying it's a plugin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, VST is literally an acronym. It's Virtual Studio Technology.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. To that end, what about you, Chroma? What kind of influences drove you into actually making music?
Oh Lord, I blame a lot of that on my father. And easy to say. I grew up very much in the electronic music scene. Everything from Sonic, Dirty Vegas, Alice DJ, Darude, Benny Benassi, a lot of them. I grew up exposed to a lot of that. And over time, I kind of found a lot of my own influences through people like Daft Punk, Deadmau5. There's a lot of mainstream ones that I kind of got influences from. A couple small ones too, Tristam, Pegboard Nerds, a couple of really small ones that have influenced me as well. And I always have had a soft spot for Eminem.
Eminem's definitely been a interesting figure in music. With a lot of his own controversies, he's also been very, I guess, active is a word to describe him.
For many years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been an industry staple, so they say. That's kind of the way you can view him. He's kind of just he's always there, you know. He doesn't. Yeah, that is definitely a testament to some of the things that he's really done. He's pioneered a lot, and he's I think he's definitely part of music history, contemporary music history for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, whether you like him or not, he's definitely had a huge impact on music. So I can't say that that I don't get it. I've been a fan of his for a while too. So
yeah, whether you like him or not, someone you're a fan of was influenced by him.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because there's definitely been people like that. Like I can still listen to Eminem a lot, but one person I definitely can't agree with to any extent is Ted Nugent. But I can still listen to his music because he just rocks out.
Yeah, I get that.
The guy's a freak. Yeah. Actually, I can't really talk much about that without making politics a thing. So I'm gonna move on from that. So one thing that I do usually like to ask is what kind of like influences has the career itself had on you guys? How has since you guys started making music? What do you guys think has changed about you?
That's a really good question.
It's a very good question.
I have to say, for me, it's the way that I compose. When I was first starting writing music, it was a lot of play on the piano, put in the DAW, and then work from there. Since then, it's more. I'm more focused on getting sound design right, I guess you would say, instead of just, trying to instead of focusing 100% on the melody and then just trying to run with that. It's also for me evolved a lot into sound design because of my influences. Because can't use the same instruments and everything. So
right.
Got to develop your own sounds with time. So I've started really learning sound design and getting a lot more into it. And nowadays I'll spend 2.5 weeks on a synthesizer. So I'm still learning
everything dialed in.
Oh yeah.
And how about you, Chi-chi?
I guess since I started, one of the main things that's changed for me is kind of my confidence in terms of like when I start singing. Before, I was really, really shy about my voice. I used to be like, oh no, I can't let anybody hear this. I don't want anybody to see this. I can't let anybody know this is a thing I do. And now I don't care anymore. Now I'm just like, hey, you want me to sing this right now? Okay, I'll belt and I'll just sing it out loud right there. I'll just be like, yeah, it's just business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that took some time to start growing into being able to just like shove that silly feeling aside to be able to just do that.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. And like there are even as I say this, there's still times when I'm like self-conscious and be like, maybe I shouldn't.
Mm-hmm. Chroma, I got the joke too, by the way. As soon as I heard you say "hey," I was like, "Oh no."
I'm glad I'm not the only one that caught that.
Yeah. Well,
unintentionally.
you were, and then I noticed it. Oh boy, we'll get to that later.
Oh Lord, that scares me.
Oh man.
Oh man.
So more confidence in basically finding new things about how you can kind of funk around with the tools you have. That's I can't really say that's not inspiring, because even people like myself who've only tried to do entertainment, I've only been at this for a couple of months myself, so it's still something I'm dealing with. But it's definitely you guys know what it's like to actually get to that other side. It's how would you describe being able to just like get up and do it now that you've been at it for as long as you have, as compared to before you're where you're at now? What's the feelings like between those two periods in your life?
I'm not really sure what you mean.
Like it, like how Chi-chi said, it kind of helped her be a little more confident. How would you guys describe that before and after point?
Like the like when you look back on, when you look back on how you were beforehand, like how does that difference feel? If it does, if there is a feeling that comes up when you think about like when you look back, is it kind of a wow, that was kind of silly of me? Is it a I can understand that, I've gotten better now, so I have more to be proud of now? Or is there like what is your relationship with that kind of that you know,
hindsight,
like
basically?
Yeah, that how does that hindsight feel to you? Like for you, Chroma, when you look back and you see, oh, I didn't care a lot about sound design back then. Do you look back and you go, well, that's kind of stupid, I should have cared more about it back then? Or, you know, and then for Chi-chi with the confidence thing, you know, how is your relationship with that past sensibility now when you look back?
I guess for me, kind of looking back at my old work, I just kind of feel like, yeah, that's where I started. And I'll share it with people a lot of the time now these days, is that technically, I think I have no, I don't have my first one unlisted. If you go to my channel, I still have the first video I ever put up on YouTube. And it's just this stinky little cover done with a laptop mic. And I'm barely in tune. But it's kind of like, that's to show, hey, it's a growing point. You gotta, like Jake the dog said, you gotta suck at something in order to be good at something.
Yeah, that's very true. And viewing it kind of as a launching point, would that be like a good way to sum it up? You look back, you see that was my launch pad. You know, I'm in orbit now, right? Compared to where I was, but that was my launch pad. That's where I had to break through the atmosphere before I got out there. Would that be a decent analogy to sum up what?
I think so.
Yeah. No, I can definitely see that with some of my old recordings when I was first starting to do session work as well, on the drum set. That definitely is a sensibility I have looking back. So it's kind of cool to see that there are other people who have that same sensibility.
The first songs I ever made no longer exist. I went to great lengths to make sure that happened. Because I look back at, like, there are still MP3s that exist of them out there. There's so much I didn't know back then that I wish I knew back then. I agree. I wish I knew that I just, work on sound design, because it's something I still struggle with today. I'm still learning all the ins and outs. I'd say, yeah, I was an idiot when I was starting off. I mean, the earliest music you can find from me now is on my YouTube channel, dated in May of this year, and that was actually, I think that was a remix of Addict, if I'm going to be honest.
I think I know the one.
I think you do, because you were the first person to comment on that video.
Well, there you go.
So
You heard
That
it
was
here first. No, I'm kidding.
And that was the first song I've uploaded really since I've changed, that I'm truly proud of. So, yeah. Anything before that is an embarrassment to myself, whether people like it or not.
well, I mean, it's not like I can't really say it's a bad thing, because it's still something that establishes like, hey, this is where I was at some point. And for everybody, it's going to be different in how they embrace that. For some people, they're going to not want to acknowledge that because they'll feel embarrassed, and that's fine. Whereas other people, Chi-chi, have no problem showing it to other people. But either way, I can't really say is bad, but it's they're definitely two ends of the same, or rather two sides of the same coin. So it's, for everybody, it's going to be different. And neither of them are going to be really false or incorrect in the conventional sense. Just kind of work your way through it, I guess, would be a good way to put it, because you don't want to stress yourself out over how you're progressing, because the important part is you're doing better.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. What about you guys? Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I could agree with that.
Yeah. Now, in terms of that, how much would you say you guys have, like, I don't want this to really sound like a repeat of the same question, but, like, how much have you guys learned, like, about yourselves in the process? Oh man, I might be wording that wrong anyway.
I guess one way to look at it is that it's really kind of made me realize I need to be better at scheduling things. Like, I need to be better at looking at deadlines and all that. That's something I still struggle with, even if I have gotten a bit better in terms of that. I still struggle with it a lot in terms of, like, oh, I need to get X, Y, and Z done. Especially now, since the majority of my work is very collaborative, I need to learn. I'm still learning to be better about that, just overall scheduling and timing of everything.
The musician's worst nightmare, scheduling. Yeah, no, I feel that in way too many ways for it to be kosher. It's
Very recently, Aidan.
Oh yeah, you shush. I'm in college. I definitely see, like, that is like the make or break, basically, for a lot of things that I'm doing right now. Is can I schedule it properly? And, like, that's a big part of music nowadays, is just being able to do things at certain times. That's really what's gonna lock in whether you're gonna be successful or not, is how available are you, and how able are you to do things, kind of, sometimes it feels like at the drop of a hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm absolutely horrible for scheduling anything as well.
Yeah, I could see Karma Bites in chat calling you out on that one, subtly.
Yeah, I'm more than aware. I've been pretty notorious for that. I've got 2 incomplete albums because my scheduling is horrible, because I keep my influences and what I'm working on keep changing for what I'm in the mood to work on with. You got to be in the right mood to work on certain songs.
Yeah, definitely.
That is very true.
Yeah.
And you don't. Sometimes there are certain times where I've had to force things, because again, deadlines are a thing in the music industry. But I've never been as proud of the way that certain things have come out when I force myself to work on them than when I allow myself to work on them when, Of course, if I'm in the mood and I think maybe I should work on this, I have to make sure that I'm doing it, right? Because once you have that thought of like maybe I should work on this right now, that's the time to do it, right? That means your brain's in that mode to begin working on something, and you should you should go for it. But like basically, it's like you don't want to just force yourself to work on something just because you have to be in a mood where you can work on something and do it do your idea the justice it deserves, and not wear yourself out at the same time. Burnout is the worst thing.
Oh no, burnout freaking sucks. I've had to deal with that before, and I hate being bored, and when I'm burnt out on something, I end up getting bored. It's irritating as hell.
Yeah, and you're bored, and even the thing that you typically love to do just doesn't seem attractive anymore.
Yep.
So I'm gonna get to a couple of the questions from the chat before I get to one of my next main questions. We got Kit Marin asking, what would you say is your most vital piece of equipment in the industry or your work?
My mic. Honestly, it's my mic.
What you using?
Well, for the longest time, actually, and I used this on Attic too, it was the mic I'm using right now, which is an Audio-Technica 2020. But I recently moved. Yeah, but I recently moved to an XLR mic, and that's been an interesting process. Because for that one, instead of just being able to plug it into the computer, you need a phantom power that you plug it into, and then you plug that into the computer. So it's kind of been interesting to kind of learn that obstacle right there.
What mic have you been switching to as far as your XLR main?
I don't remember.
That's definitely fair. As long as it's something that
I think it's like MR something 4000, something like that.
Okay, all right. Yeah. No, yeah, and then Chroma. What about you? What's your most vital piece of equipment?
I'd have to say, as weird as this sounds, a mouse.
That's a good point.
I know that sounds really weird, but especially when you're working in a digital audio workstation, the number one thing you're gonna hate, especially for someone like me, I use a wireless mouse. The number one thing that I hate is I'll be working on something, and then suddenly the mouse dies, and it's like, well, I gotta go get some batteries, and this is just pain in the ass. If I had to choose anything other than the mouse, it'd have to be the keyboard. Like an actual piano keyboard.
Oh, MIDI controller.
Yep.
That makes sense.
That's definitely fair.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Is it one of those full size keyboards, or one of those like mini ones?
128 keys.
Oh, damn.
What? 128?
I think so.
That's a lot. That's like 1.5 keyboards. That's like 1.5 pianos.
I might have to double check that. This thing is massive, though.
It's like one of the double-decker type of deals?
No, it's a single deck. I'd have to double check. I'll get back to you on the numbers.
Yeah, that is. I was like, whoa.
I was about to say, after I said it, I'm like, that might not be right.
Yeah, that's a little huge. Typically, the largest ones that I can find are 88 keys, but I'd have to check that out. You know what? In just a little bit, I will actually do some research to see if I can find anything with 128 keys on it.
I'm sure I've seen. I know I've seen some kind of like one of those old synth pop bands that have had those like 2 keyboard setups, something like that.
Oh yeah. So you can run multiple patches at the same time.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Oh yeah, super fun.
What?
I love that.
I'm wrong. I double checked. This is a 61 key keyboard.
Okay.
Okay, that is definitely something.
There
that
we
is
go.
more like
I, as I said, the moment I said it, I knew that number was wrong.
It happens.
All right.
All right. I guess the next one we got coming up is from E. Rivera. It's asking, what are some ways you were able to get more comfortable with your voice and or songs? I ask since getting used to hearing your own voice is a process, it seems.
Oh, practice over and over again. That's literally all it is. You just gotta you just gotta muscle through it. You just gotta keep doing it over and over, listening to it over and over all the time again, and eventually you'll just get, yeah, that's me.
Now, would you say it's more a matter of like bludgeoning that self-conscious like feeling about your own voice into not being a thing, or is it more just like listening to yourself and kind of adjusting yourself to it, and you figure you sound just slightly different from when you first started recording and hearing yourself?
A little bit of both, I'd say. It's like you have to listen to yourself over and over again if you're ever going to do good takes. You have to keep listening to yourself and be like, oh, I better check in on this again. Especially if you're going to be doing things like tuning and stuff like that with your voice. You got to like listen to it over and over again to be like, oh yeah, I'm kind of numb to the sound of it now.
Yeah.
That's an interesting concept to me because like I play guitar. I'm used to tuning, the strings on the guitar, but I haven't heard of tuning your voice.
Well, tuning it, I mean like pitch correction. Like any kind of music industry you're in, everybody uses pitch correction. It's just a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And in order to do it correctly, you got to listen to your voice lot and be like, okay, does this sound natural? Does this sound too electronic? Does this sound like what I'm going for? And you just kind of listen to it over and over again, and you listen to each individual note when you're playing it. Like the software I use is Melodyne. And so in that, you have to go in and hand pick and hand move every single note and just kind of listen to it over and over again. And sometimes it won't sound pretty, but it will. But you need to do that in order to get it sounding good.
Melodyne is extremely powerful. I don't use it currently because I just haven't gotten around to it. But
it's also not cheap, so
yeah, that is true.
I know I've picked up some like variant of it. I guess a while back when I got my audio interface, it's a PreSonus audio box. It's this little like $100 thing. It's pretty compact, sits on your desktop. But with the hardware also came just a crap load of software on it. Studio One 4. And then it also came with things. I know Melodyne is like an extension on it, at least. There's all kinds of things. Yeah, there's all kinds of things that it came with. So that $100 investment actually yielded quite a lot. So it's been interesting. I've actually been using Studio One instead of Audacity for whatever I've been doing, and I think it's been working out well so far. So it's like if I had to suggest anything, at least for a starter, when you start making that bigger investment, definitely that PreSonus audio box came with a lot, and it's doing a lot. So
it's always good.
Yeah. So I guess that's what we got for viewer questions at the moment. So I'm going to touch on one thing that'll lead into my next question is when you hear your own voice and you start listening to it, like, do you think the criticism you make for yourself is worse than what other people might say about it?
Oh, yeah. We're all our worst critics. We're always going to judge it way more than anyone else will.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, especially if there are some people I've run into who are pretty defensive of their work. But typically when you want to put out good stuff, you definitely it's almost a learned behavior. You kind of learn to become your own worst critic and to really just ingest that and turn it into a way of motivating yourself to do better and better and better.
Yeah.
Right, and I ask this mainly because music is one thing that I have noticed tends to come with a lot more okay, it tends to come with a lot more criticism. There's always somebody. There's always those gatekeepers out there. People who are always just like, why would you listen to that? Like, I've had people, when I just mention listening to, like, Breaking Benjamin, somebody was just straight up like, what are you, 12? And so...
Everyone's a... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was basically about it. It's just that everybody's got some stupid comment to make about things like that, but how do you guys tend to look at, experiences like that when you get those kind of offhanded comments or criticisms?
I mean, they happen. It's just a fact. They're gonna come. You're gonna get a criticism one way or another, whether it's legitimate or not. The important thing is to just take it in stride. And sometimes it can be more difficult for other people, but it's just a matter of, you just gotta be like, okay, thanks for your comment. I'm gonna move on. Or, thank you for the criticism, I'll try to imply it. Depending on what it is. And that's
Most
honestly
of the
all...
time- sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
And that's honestly all you can do sometimes. It's just kind of take what you can and then just move on with it. And that's it.
All right.
For myself, I just kind of have I guess you would call it a rule of thumb, if that makes sense to anyone. Just kind of like a common rule that I've always had. If you've opened up the internet today, you've pissed someone off. So, honestly, I mean, no matter where you go, not everyone's gonna like everything. Everyone will like everything. Those people that are gonna be out there, you could make the next Mona Lisa, and somebody's gonna still tell you it sucks, no matter what you're gonna do. So, I mean, if it's genuine criticism, as TG said, cool. I'll apply that to future. Other than that, thanks and move on.
Yeah.
Would you guys say that you've basically figured out how to sort out the legitimate criticisms from people who are just trolling, just trying to, get under your skin about it?
Yeah, I'd say for the most part, you can tell pretty easily when someone's trying to offer genuine criticism and when someone's just being a jerk.
Yeah. Typically, it's almost, you almost can't help but notice. It's like it makes itself very apparent.
Yeah, it makes itself very obvious.
Yeah. Or rather, they make their intentions very obvious, whether they mean to or not. The sincerity will come across very quickly, and the insincerity will come across even more forward. It kind of screams, "I'm being an asshole." It makes itself very apparent.
We've got Vance of Black in chat says that criticism that wasn't asked for is always an insult in disguise. But one thing I want to ask, to kind of expand on that, do you think it happens often that somebody will come in and provide criticism that wasn't solicited, but still provides you with some kind of new information that was like legitimate? Do you think that happens often?
On the occasion, it does. I haven't experienced a lot of that myself. But usually you will get unwarranted criticism every now and then, and sometimes they have a point. Like, I like to think that behind every bit of criticism, there's at least a iota of some good intention behind it. Sometimes there's not, and that's unfortunate, but sometimes there is, and it's just try to turn whatever kind of insult they're trying to throw at you as a means of, oh, they mean this is a motivator then. They're motivating me to not stop and to keep going.
And even if someone does tell you directly to stop, it doesn't hurt to just be an oppositional person and just say, no, you know what? I don't think I will. Just kind of throw that, redirect that into they're trying to push you away, just taking that energy and, turn it into more of a reason to keep pushing.
Yep.
What about on your end, Chroma?
I mean, other than Chi-chi really hit the nail on the head on this one, to be honest. I mean, there's really not much I can add to that statement.
Fair enough. Now, with these with these kind of people, there is always somebody that's just trying to be a jerk about it. How often would you guys say anything like that tends to happen?
I mean, if you're talking about just like in general comments, all the time. Like you get that in the comments at a certain point, you just kind of get that all the time, and you have to just kind of learn to be like, okay, cool, next.
Yeah. As far as like in person or things like that, it's a lot less common. Because typically the kinds of people who leave those kind of cancerous, stupid comments on music of all things, those are the kind of people who go very silent very quickly when you actually are in the same, kind of ear space as the person who they're very willing to talk crap on when they're on the internet, when nobody knows who they are in a sense, when they can just type it, get no recourse back, get no response, whereas if they're just say, because again, we don't want to be going outside too much, there is a pandemic going on, as far as like being in like a Discord VC or in some kind of virtual event, where you're talking to someone voice to voice, right? It doesn't tend to happen quite as much. Some people will say, I wasn't the hugest fan of it, but I can appreciate the work you did on it. Things like that will come across a lot more often than someone just being like, yeah, it kind of sucked. That doesn't typically happen too much because there's actually an immediate consequence that will make itself apparent to them. They don't.
As I say sometimes, you give someone a mask, and they'll give you everything they got.
Though this kind of reminds me of a story from not too long ago. I remember it was in a kind of similar kind of area like this. It was like in a panel type event. And I remember we had someone come up to this mic and basically tell us, why did you make this sound bad? Why did you overtune this? This does not sound good. This would have sounded so much better this way. And basically what we did was that, well, definitely deep down, you just kind of feel like, oh, I want to rip. I'm angry. I want to strike out, but you don't. But that's not the way to do it. So basically what we did is that we just kind of talked calmly and let them know, thank you for your input. We believe this is the right course of action because of X, Y, and Z. And we just kind of, you have to keep like a professional attitude about it.
Yeah, no, I definitely am sympathetic to that. It's kind of like, whoa, all right, buddy.
Now, when it comes to people who actually do provide legitimate criticisms, like how often do you guys find? How often do you guys like try to tinker with what you did based on that criticism and find that it actually does work better for you? Like, how often does a criticism actually result in change you like?
It's a good question.
Because I'm sure valid criticisms do come up more often than not, but I'm also fairly certain that it doesn't lead to something being different every time.
Well, not every time, but occasionally it does. Like sometimes it'll be about levels or something like that, or about something regarding the mix here and there. And you know what? I always like to try those. Just kind of like, okay, let's try that and see if it works or not.
And if it does, you do it.
Would you guys say that your how you do things now, like how different, I should say, is your methods? Stumbling over my own words over here. How different is your methodology now in making your content as opposed to when you got started? Like, how different?
I'd say the details of things are very different, but kind of like the core of things are very much the same for me. Because most of what I do is kind of like I record in front of a mic. I do sing I sing into the software program, and then I make a video for it. Now, while that's kind of been rudimentally the basic thing, the tools that I use to do that have changed a lot. And so basically now I have a better mic. Now I use I use Melodyne to correct things here and there. Now I have Premiere Pro, and I'll make something much more visually interesting than just kind of like the basic iMovie stuff. And I'll actually like commission people to do artwork for it and stuff. It's just like the bit. While it may seem very huge, and sometimes it is more of the details of the work that kind of change over time than it is the core action of whatever it is you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all just pretty much out
Pretty
here.
much.
Yeah, record, sound
Yeah.
design, master, upload. You know.
Yeah.
Chi-chi's pretty much getting everything on the head here.
No, in terms of, I guess to kind of go on a slightly different topic, how often have you guys worked with other creators? Because, like, you know, Chi-chi has obviously done vocals with. Actually, I've seen a number of other people, other like vocalists.
Honestly, that's the majority of what I do these days. The majority of kind of my career is on other people's channels. Especially right now, I'm working with like a lot of nerdcore rappers these days, and so a lot of my work is on their channels now. And I've just kind of found my place more in other people's content than I'd say my own main thing, which I am trying to put more stuff on my channel. I have more stuff planned, and I'm trying to kind of focus in more on kind of like my content itself as well. But I feel like overall, I tend to get stuff done quicker and enjoy more when it's other people who are like head of the project and everything.
All right, I can understand that. Because like I've definitely seen you on a number of songs that other people have produced. But then I've also seen a couple of the things that you've done on your own. I think the most recent that I can recall is your own little, I guess, would it be a parody cover? I Need a Himbo?
Oh, yeah. I do have plans to make that into more of an official thing. Time.
Yeah,
Right.
time.
Time is the enemy of all artists.
Yeah,
It's just
the
a
best
fact.
friend and the enemy. Yeah.
And then we have I'm not sure how much work Chroma has done with other creators.
Outside of a live version of one song, I have not done a collaboration.
All right. And
I feel special.
yeah, I was about to say that one song happens to be with Aidan here, who does it. Hearing his voice when he actually sings, because I haven't actually heard it myself very much. But he can definitely sing. But it's interesting to hear it with Chroma's work, because Chroma definitely has his own little his own style going. Hearing with Aidan is, I'm not sure how to describe that. Not bad, but interesting.
That is a word right there.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
It's especially interesting for me because the song that you two did together is the first that I've heard of Aidan singing.
Yeah.
So I guess
That's interesting.
I guess that'll carry its own little honor for the both of you on that one.
Yeah, a little honor, sure. Yeah, no, so yeah, I have some stuff planned, mostly covers for right now. Mainly the big progress that they mean for me are in more of the instrumental world. You know, kind of starting to get things behind my voice that I'm proud of. You know, again, like I think I can really kind of relate to Chi-chi on this one, where when other people are heading the project, I do feel a little more at home. At least in terms of, I think it is a little more comfortable for me because I'm not making all the creative decisions. You know, if this ends up bad, it's not because I lacked vision. It's because this person, you know, didn't know what he was doing or blah 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 blah. So there's a little bit of that trade-off for me. I'm not saying this is what it's like for Chi-chi at all, because this is we're two totally different people. But for me, there is that kind of, I guess, safety in collaboration that I can kind of say. But I also love the thrill of taking on all those responsibilities. And, you know, like, for example, I'm working on my first purely original thing, like song that I'm actually recording. And I'm very quickly, you have this initial idea, and then now you have to write the melody for it. Oh, okay. Now you have to do sound design. Oh, okay, cool. Now you have to handle all this stuff. Oh, okay, cool. And it's just, writing music is not a quick thing in most cases, especially when you're writing the kind of music that I'm trying to do, and the kind of music that Chroma does. These it takes a while. And so it's it's a whole kind of, you have to allow the hardest thing to do is to allow yourself time without wasting it. That balance is incredibly important and is incredibly hard to strike. You have to make sure that you're moving along in a timely manner, but not rushing. You don't want to rush, and you don't want to lag behind. You want to be right in that 45-degree angle slope, right? You want to split those two. You don't want to be wasting time, and you don't want to be rushing. So it's fun. And the more I do it, the more I become more comfortable writing, walking that tightrope, allowing myself to take breaks and all that stuff.
Well, speaking of rushing, it's not that I'm trying to rush this, but rather I've talked about it before with a couple other guests, in that you don't want to rush your development in how you do your work. You don't want to rush trying to be a good voice actor. You don't want to try to rush being a good artist.
No.
Let those changes happen naturally, and just real quick, how long have both of you been making music?
Depends. In terms of putting stuff online, it's probably about a little over 10 years now. That's when I started YouTube and everything, so about 10 years.
And you said that was when you were still in high school?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, does this count since we only started uploading, or started actually making music?
Let's call it yes.
That's 17 years for me. Oh.
Hey.
And that's it. And
I feel like a baby.
Yeah.
And that's when you started making music?
Yeah. About 17 years ago.
When did you start uploading any of it?
Give or take about 10, 12?
All right, so
about 10 or 12 years ago.
So it definitely sounds like you both have had time to let your skills develop. With these, I'm pretty sure they started as hobbies. Now, whether or not they're actual careers or not, I guess it's more of a choice for you guys. But you guys have definitely had that time to let those skills of yours develop, in how you record, how you create, and definitely how you handle getting these things done, like balancing your personal life / work time type of deal. That didn't happen instantly, I assume.
It's still not happening.
Yeah, no, it's really not.
I'll be honest, it's still a struggle. It's always a struggle. Some people got it down. I don't. I really don't.
Would you say you've improved at all in that time? At least facetiously?
A bit, maybe. I'm definitely more self-aware about it. I'm definitely more self-aware of. I'm at the point where I realize, okay, I'm not good at this.
Well, at least
and so I'm looking to get better at it. I'm making efforts to get better.
Well, at least that's the important part, is you're acknowledging that it's kind of a thing for you, and you're willing to make the effort to do better. I'm pretty sure you've already accepted that it's not going to be an overnight change.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because that's
no change really happens overnight.
No.
Any change that seems to happen overnight has really been building up for a long time when you look into it. And that was just the breaking point. Sure, there are some things that you implement, but I don't see any core changes in myself ever just happening. Sometimes it's wow, I'm doing a lot better at this. And then you look back and you realize, oh, I have been getting progressively better. I've just kind of noticed it more now. I've noticed my efforts paying off. Like stretching, right? Each day when you stretch, you don't notice yourself getting more flexible. It's once you finally achieve something that you kind of been gradually building up to that you go, oh, wait a minute, I am a whole lot more flexible.
Sometimes you don't even notice it until
I think
like at a specific point.
that's kind of been, the way that it's been working, at least for me. I don't know about our two guests if that's been their experience as well.
To be honest, I've never really thought about it a lot. For me, it's kind of just been, I don't, because whether or not you've evolved or not, right? It's like watching, it's like watching a sibling grow, or like having a pet that grows up.
Mm-hmm.
As each day goes by, yeah, they're growing, they're changing, and so are you, but you don't really notice it until you've looked back on it. But it's for me, I don't know, it's I guess it's not something I've fully taken in yet. Like, to me, it doesn't feel like I've grown. Like, I know how to do a couple more things. I know how to do this and that. Like, I notice the growth, but I don't really feel that growth.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's more of a
Yeah.
thing that you observe than a thing that you experience per se.
It's
Exactly.
it's like your birthday. It comes, it hits. You expect to feel older. It doesn't feel like any other day of the year, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get some gifts, and that's nifty and cool,
But you don't feel any different. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because growth is a continuum. It's not it doesn't happen in short, discrete steps. It is constantly occurring, and you're constantly changing at a rate that is so marginal that you can't really pick up exactly on it. And the only way that you can really experience, quote unquote, that growth is through reflection, through looking back, and through observing it. So yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Right. Gonna see if I can get some more of these viewer questions before we move on to the next point that I want to hammer in.
Yeah.
This is totally out of left field. Thank you, Karma. One thing I need to ask, just real off topic, but to settle a score with someone: shrimp Alfredo or chicken Alfredo pasta?
Did Arc's internet die?
I don't know. Ark, are you still here?
Hello?
Am I still here?
Ark was going somewhere with this. And I don't know where.
Am I still here? Oh.
Let's talk mastering. No, I'm kidding.
Oh God, no.
Hold on, wait.
Oh,
There we go.
the prodigal son returns.
Okay, it's working now. I don't know why. I guess my microphone decided to just stop working for a second.
Awesome.
Yeah, they
The most vital tool of the industry.
yeah. Karma Bites asking one thing I need to ask, real off topic, but to settle a score with somebody: shrimp Alfredo or chicken Alfredo pasta?
Chicken Alfredo.
Chicken Alfredo.
Crap.
I'm sure he has the same thought that I'm having right now. Is why is this a question?
I like them both, honestly.
I haven't really had shrimp Alfredo now that I think about it.
Neither
It's
have I.
good, man. They're both fantastic.
I would imagine it's pretty freaking delicious.
I've had chicken Alfredo a lot, but I haven't had shrimp Alfredo. So I just know I like Alfredo sauce. I know that much.
Alfredo sauce is absolutely amazing.
So moving on.
Don't bring that near your equipment or your setup. Though. You don't want a saucy keyboard. That's not a good look. It's not a good feeling.
Ew. It's a good thing I made that mature content disclaimer at the start.
What?
That
I'm
could be
talking about
taken
Alfredo
so wrong.
sauce, okay?
You said
okay.
you didn't say Alfredo saucy. Anyway,
Alfredo saucy.
I got to start calling saucy processed. I'm just gonna start calling him Alfredo
I'm
saucy.
gonna do that too. I hang out with him on the daily, and I'm gonna start bullying him more than usual. It's gonna be great.
Okay, here we go. Which piece of okay, this is going to be an interesting one. Which piece of your work are you most proud of?
Ooh.
That's an interesting one.
I agree.
Like, in terms, I guess, recent works that I'm really proud of, that I really enjoy, I mean, Addict.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just really happy about the response that it's gotten, that so many people like it, and it's just really cool.
It's a great song. Just it's fun. It's pretty well produced, you know? I mean, there ain't too much to complain about as far as I'm concerned.
For me, I'm kind of caught between the three, honestly. The three songs. But out of all of them, oh Lord, I honestly don't know. I am proud of my song, My Game, because I started experimenting with electric guitar and dubstep and try to explore outside of my natural boundaries for that one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of proud how that one came out.
Speaking of guitar, mine just fell over.
Ask and ye shall receive. No, it's yeah. No, I mean, all your songs, Chroma, are pretty varied, honestly, in style and tone, and they I don't know which one of your songs is my favorite. I mean, I even in spite of my bias, you know, I mean that they're really. It's hard to. I don't know. It's. Yeah, I can totally understand that response.
Because I've gone from house to hip hop to dubstep to metal to. I've just kind of been all over the genre board.
Mm-hmm.
Pick an EDM, pick a style of music that's produced electronically, and I've dabbled in it.
Yeah, lo-fi's fun.
It's a lot of fun. I love lo-fi.
Lo-fi's so much fun.
I love my lo-fi
I'm working on a
album.
couple of beats right now, and those are so fun to make, especially as a drummer, because it's like, I don't know, I can get so into that kind of drunk flow, you know.
I've been a little too busy blowing my eardrums out to do music lately to listen to lo-fi, so
I've been too busy listening to other music to listen to this music. That's an interesting one that I haven't heard too much of that before. That's valid, but interesting.
I'm slowly opening up to more types of music. Like, honestly, I didn't really consider listening to jazz until Aidan asked me to help him out with something, which I do still intend to jump onto, Aidan.
Mm-hmm.
But like you, I've been really freaking busy.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
So another one we got. At what point in your work did you realize, wow, I have fans?
Wow, I have fans? This is news to me.
That wasn't that funny, but like it got me. Just kidding. It was that funny. Someone start talking, so I'm not just laughing.
No, that's kind of the thing for me. Is like you're able to make humor out of something that I guess some people would consider a negative, but honestly, it can definitely be a surprise to a lot of people that are like, they don't think they have a big following, but then they realize, oh wow, people actually do listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like one of those pleasant surprises, because I can imagine it. People always kind of like putting themselves down until they take another look at something, and then they like, okay, that's different than I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm a fan of Chi-chi.
Same. Yeah, I'm a fan of a lot of the stuff you do.
It still doesn't register sometimes, because it feels weird saying fans. Because it's like, it's just, I can't mentally register it. Only like very recently do I feel like, oh yeah, they're a fan. There's still like, should I say that? Do I have the right to say that? Whenever I kind of think about it. Like, I know from a technical perspective, I know I have them. It's just, even saying it still, it's like,
Doesn't feel right.
it doesn't feel right. Yeah, it doesn't feel right.
No, I get that. It's another thing that we've talked about before, and it's like, you don't really want to let yourself get into that kind of a mindset, because you know you're just gonna be like, you think you'll get to that point where you'll look back and you'll be like, why did I do this? In terms of like how you would normally behave about something. Because I've talked about it before, in that you don't want to hold somebody on a pedestal, because that'll just lead to disappointment. I think that can still ring true for yourself. You don't want to hold yourself higher than you think you are, because you don't want to either disappoint yourself or lead yourself into a position where things can just turn south quickly.
You also don't want to become an asshole. No. You know, it's that kind of like, you either die a hero or see yourself become the monster. And I know it's not entirely accurate to this, you know, to this exact thing. It's you know, it's meant for different contexts, but like, I mean, at the same time, it does kind of ring true, because, like, you don't want to put that distance between yourself and the people who consume your content. You want to, you know, come together with people and appreciate things together. You know, you want to see what they like about it. You want to engage. And at the same time, you also start to realize that, and of course for me, it's on a lot smaller scale. Mostly it's just the little cover bits that I've released, and like my art, for example. But like, even still on a small scale, I've started to realize you can't just always engage. You can't just always.
Boundaries are a thing.
That's a good word to use. Boundaries is the word I think I didn't know I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like one of those, which I guess that's why the term fan exists, to kind of help keep that boundary in terms of like, because sometimes people get this idea when you haven't talked. What am I trying to say? Like, somebody can consume your content and think they know you and your entire story as a person, but in actuality, they don't know you personally. And sometimes people can get that wrong idea and think like, you're my best friend for life and everything, which is a thing that a lot of content creators talk about. I know there's this one panel that, oh God, I can't remember it now. There's one panel that talks about a lot, which is like the dark side of content creation or something like that, where it's kind of like learning to set boundaries and kind of like the whole idea of where is the relationship between a consumer and a creator. And that's still a relationship that we're still fairly new to on the whole. I mean, in some ways we aren't, because like the history of just movie stars and stuff like that and that whole side of things. But in terms of like the access that people have now, it's definitely very different, and exploring that whole relationship inside of things is interesting. It's a fascinating time we're in terms of that whole side of things.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing another interview with somebody in the same kind of position. They said that like back in the 80s or the 90s, you know, being like famous kind of had things to help out with it, because being famous isn't always a great thing. But, you know, when you have all that, you know, all the exposure that you have, and all the, you know, the problems of like your own privacy and all that come into play with it, you at least have something that kind of like helps as a buffer, as they put it, to help out with it. But nowadays, you know, people can be famous because of the internet. They can just like start posting, I don't know, stupid dance memes or something like that, and they can end up garnering millions of views and have, you know, hundreds of thousands of followers, and they don't have the same kind of like again, as they put it, that same kind of buffer to kind of make things a little more maybe not so much worth it, but kind of just like gives you that sort of comfort, I guess, that's supposed to come with it. It's you just end up getting all the fame and all the trouble that comes with it, with none of the real, like, I don't want to make it sound like being famous is is something that's worth chasing, because in the end, I don't really think being incredibly famous is really a great thing. Especially nowadays with it, because you just end up chasing a goal that can be self-destructive, or just you look back on it and you realize, why did I do this?
For me, I've kind of always had this quote of a lot of fans don't like you; they like the idea of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's kind of in the direction that Chi-Chi was trying to get at earlier, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like that one scene from Adventure Time where Princess Bubblegum was talking to that one guy, and she says, "What you're feeling isn't the guy's like, "Oh, I'm in love with you," and she's like, "What you're feeling is infatuation." And it's a similar kind of concept, I'd say, in terms of like what you're talking about, the idea of a person rather than like the actual person themselves.
Right. And I guess that's kind of where it bugs me, at least, in that people are going to be liking you for, the things you do rather than actually liking you. Because humans by nature are very social creatures. But when you have like all these people that are surrounding you and like, getting into the work that you do, but none of them are like legitimately interested in you, just your work or whatever it is, you start to feel like I'm not sure I'm describing this correctly, but I think you get what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah.
Some people are too into your work, and some people are too into you because of your work. Some people get way too attached to this idea of you that's presented through the work you do. Like, especially this, I think they called it selflessness syndrome. It's where an actor plays a role very well, and because of that, people attach a certain value to their character based on this character they played that's not them, and they start to associate this person with a character, a person, so to speak, that doesn't really exist. It's this this person who creates the art I love so much. Because I love this person's art so much, it must mean that I, in turn, have a connection with this person, right? And so sometimes sometimes it's just them being very zealous about your work, and they're not really interested in you as a person. Sometimes they're too interested in this false idea of a person that they have projected onto you because of their affinity for your work, if that makes sense.
I know a lot of, I've seen a lot of it because I follow a lot of voice actors and singers on Twitter, and it was recently that even Erica Lindbeck tweeted out that and it was Kellen and Erica Lindbeck were talking about it, and they people call them by character names and expecting them to be like their character all the time.
Yeah.
Especially for Kellen. I mean, it's like he's done so much, so many characters.
Kellen's everywhere.
He's in everything from League of Legends to Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, like, he's literally everywhere, and there's a person behind that.
Yeah, for what? Before I get onto that, the term you were looking for, Aidan, was imposter syndrome.
I thought that was about not belonging.
Yeah.
I thought that was about not New York imposter syndrome. I don't belong here. I'm not rich. I thought that was more the imposter syndrome. But maybe you're right.
I'm fairly.
I think
certain
you are right.
I wasn't
I'm
aware
fairly
that there was a
certain you
New
are.
York version of it. But
there's one where it's like, I don't belong here. I'm not rich. I'm not this. I'm not that. All the people around me are rich. What am I doing here? That's another form of. But no, that makes sense. That makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Crap. Quality entertainment here. I already forgot what the point was before I said that.
We were handling a question of at what point, wow, do I have fans thing.
Sort of. Oh, wait. We were going on about the character, we're not our characters thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, that was something that that's kind of the thing that initially got me to doing this show. Like I said before, the whole deal with Laura Bailey and The Last of Us Part 2, that was definitely one big catalyst because, yeah, the character I don't think was especially like well written, but that's no reason to go after the voice actor because simply because they voiced the character. Yeah, they're not the ones that took the actions of the character. The character is. But then we get people that are like, in the first interview I did with Crystal and Chris, Chris brought up a concern that he was afraid that people are going to start expecting Crystal to act all like psychotic and such, or really, really eccentric like Cherry Bomb is. But in talking with them, she's not really like that. She's just kind of, I don't really want to say goofy is how she is, but she is eccentric, to a very lovable point. But she's still somebody you can approach. She is not someone who's going to be like, trying to throw you into a mosh pit at a freaking black metal concert.
I've run into a fair few people who are actually like that, and Crystal is not one of them.
No.
So
that's definitely something that I can understand, not just from the voice actors' perspective themselves, but from the people around them. It's a very concerning thing to expect those people to be like, whoever they voice or portray or whatever the case.
Or to expect people to be in the emotional states that they are in their songs.
Right, because if we're going to expect Chi-chi to, constantly talk about himbos,
right,
that's gonna run old real quick.
Exactly.
Yeah, or for example, just because I write a song that is rooted in my history in, less than savory places, doing less than savory things, that doesn't mean that I'm going to be that person for you.
Like, from the perspective of an actor, it's called acting for a reason.
Right. It is essentially professional make-believe. That's what this is, right? Now, in music, a lot of times it comes from a place that is more real. It comes from a real place. But that doesn't mean that we're constructing our own reality and trying to sell you that. Some people are. Some people are. Some people are the way they are. Like a lot of more pop star rappers nowadays are trying to kind of sell you their lifestyle in a way. But a lot of people, like, I mean, I'm sorry, like, but I own their merch. 21 Pilots comes to mind for me. Like, yes, this is an aspect of Tyler Joseph, the songwriter's reality that he is portraying, but he is not his songs. He's a lot more than his songs. He has more to him than his song. And Chi-chi, I'm sorry, you were about to start saying something.
Like, especially in the terms of music, usually what it is, especially for people who are like in nerdcore, it's more they're trying to sell. If there's like an investment part of it, it's usually from the emotional side of things. Because even for like baseline actions and things, with fiction, you can go all over the place. But you can still kind of recognize certain emotions and certain kind of perspectives that people can have and try to kind of emulate that within your compositions or lyrics or vocals or any of the things. You're trying to show, sometimes it's more of showing what they kind of invoke in you or the emotional kind of journeys that they go on that you try to reflect within your works.
Mm-hmm. It's a reflection, not
it's a reflection.
an active portrayal. Yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah,
God, your vocabulary is more girthy than mine today.
It's one of the interviews that I had heard was with Devin Townsend, and one way he put it, a lot of his music is so different between his albums, but he described it as, I'm constantly explaining my music, even though the album that I put out at the time is just what I felt compelled to make at the time. That's just, he basically said, that's what I was in the mood to make. And that's kind of, I think that's going to be.
And yeah, that's a big part of it. That's very true.
What do I want to hear? There you go. I'll make that. Sometimes it ain't that deep.
One big example that I think kind of explains a lot of it, though, in terms of like the fan creator interaction. Are you guys all familiar with the song "Stan" by Eminem?
Yeah,
yes.
I am.
I think most people have a reaction to that song.
That's where the term "stan" comes from.
Yep, it is.
Yeah, it's.
Speaking of influence, there you go. There's your trivia for the day.
That song, I don't have an awareness of how like true that rings with musicians, globally. But I do imagine it being definitely a massive concern for a lot of musicians, and that they don't want people to take their music too literally, and that they don't want people to just repeat the songs, because a lot of it is just expressing how they felt at the time. And the music that came before Stan came out, a lot of his music was just like, that young man, always angry, angsty type of stuff that was coming around. And even today, he says that there's songs that he has made in those older times, like back in the Eminem show days. The song "Cleaning Out My Closet," even he doesn't play at shows anymore, because at the time he made it, yes, he was really angry. But nowadays, as he thinks back on it, he doesn't like hearing that song anymore, because he knows how much his own viewpoints have changed since then. Whereas, the song "Stan" is basically like, look, guys, I know a lot of my songs like reverberate well with you guys, but I don't want you to just go and repeat all this stuff, because that's not what I want. It's stuff for you guys to resonate with, and you understand it, and it's an outlet for you to get it out. But for the love of God, please don't just relive all of this music, because that's not the point. And I'm not sure how much of that like you guys would I can't imagine you guys have music that's a lot like that aggressive, I'm just trying to get out a lot of anger type of music, because obviously Chroma does a lot of like techno, a lot of that kind of like electronic music, and then Chi-chi does a lot of like covers and collaborations with other people that I assume aren't usually like really aggressive music.
Well, it depends. Honestly, the people I collaborate is all over the place. I've done a lot of metal songs.
For me, you want to get emotional. If you really want to go get emotional, listen to my track "Remember." That one, it's based character-wise, but there is a little bit of, for those that know me well, we're able to pick up on a lot of subtext to it.
So there actually is actually that does hit something with me, in that people how do I do this one right? People will write music that doesn't exactly sound like it'd be I guess super personal. It does carry like a narrative to it, but you wouldn't exactly piece together exactly how it works, but you can still feel that that same kind of like emotion on it sometimes when you listen to it, because I do remember hearing "Remember," but I would not have like really guessed like how personal that song is to you, because even I don't know you that, I don't know you personally that well. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, how much of that song actually is like an expression of how he felt about whatever subject matter.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting here, I'm like, with how many collaborations Chi-chi has done, how many of those has she felt like rings true with how she felt at the time?
That's a good question. I don't know. At the very least, I can't remember.
So that'll go into one more of the viewer questions that we have here. Do you prefer collaborating or working alone?
collaboration on the whole, I'd say. Like, I like being able to work with other people. I like being able to like mash up our influences and our ideas. I think some really cool stuff comes from out of that. I like being able to just kind of, because what I like is being able to take something and kind of expand upon it. And that's what I really like doing in regards to like collaborative work is like, depending on what they ask me. Like some collaborations more of they just want me, okay, just sing this, and I'm like, sure, sing it, done. But sometimes I'll be able to actually, well, even more than sometimes, a good chunk of the time I'll be able to write my own stuff, and I'll be able to like, okay, this is the melody I had in mind, these are lyrics, X, Y, Z, and then I kind of get to work in that way, and that's my favorite part.
For me, I am 50-50 on that one. I do like to work alone, but at the same time, I do like to collab if the opportunity does present itself. Because, as Chi-chi said, there's a lot of room for being able to form new ideas. Because, as the old saying goes, two heads are better than one, and that is very true when it comes to collaborations. If you got two people going together, you get a mix of ideas, insane things can happen. But I do enjoy being able to sit down and knowing that, you know, as weird as this is going to sound, and this is nothing against people who enjoy collaborations or anything, I like being able to sit down and know that I can, from beginning to end, write a full song myself. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So I like them both.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Wow, my train of thought just like derailed hard. What the hell is wrong with me today? Oh,
You're
man.
fine. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
you're
You're
fine.
doing just fine. We're all having a good time.
I think my coffee
Oh yeah, no
already
complaints
wore
here.
off. So music has basically done a lot for both of you, it sounds like.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
What do you think would be different if music hadn't become such a massive part of your lives up to this point?
I've been pursuing more drawing, definitely. Because before I did any kind of music, I was always an art, like a drawer. I was always an artist in that regards. Like digital art and everything, that's really where I felt like I shined more. And I've only recently been getting back into doing like digital art and stuff just for kind of myself.
Right.
And so that's been a bit of an exploration in that regard. So probably if I didn't do music, I'd be much more focused in that.
What about you, Chroma?
For me, I'm not sure. It would be because I've got a couple of different hobbies I do outside of music. For me, I enjoy some of the small, audio engineering that I do for sound design. I enjoy the odd voice acting thing. I honestly, because here's the thing, I've never thought about it. I've never thought about what my life would be like if I didn't start music.
It's hard to think about those things sometimes. Like for me, it's like, where would I be without music? Well, let's see. I've been drumming since the age of 2. Where would I be without music? There's no way to... There's no way to quantify that. There's no way to answer that question. It is too entrenched in my reality to be answered. It's too present. It's too there. It has always here's the thing. It's been there since my memory facilities were functional enough to actually make any memories. Therefore, it's always been there. So I can't judge it without. Do you guys have any kind of the same experience, or do you think it's still just like it's the way it is? It's not going to be another way. It's just the way it is. Is that kind of the way that you process that?
I can't really picture what my life would be like too much, honestly, without music.
to me, it's not a question that makes sense to ask. You know?
Sort of, because it's for me, it's a matter of like trying to get some more perspective, of like how different could things be, and then trying to run off of that idea of like, it's kind of like brainstorming almost for me to think about like what could be different or what could have been different, and then trying to go off of that into like, maybe it can inspire something for some new song or some new like bit of story that somebody's trying to write, when they just let their mind go off in that direction. Or sometimes it's just like a bit of like personal retrospective, like how different could things be. It's not that it has to really like be important or really matter that much. It's just for me it's an interesting like thought exercise to some extent.
Sure, I can get behind that.
Yep.
It's not that you have to let those thoughts like really influence anything, but like it's just kind of an interesting thing to go on. I guess we can go with this other question from Kit Marin, specifically for Chroma. Would you say you're more geared towards your musical creations, audio manipulation, or voice acting? And did you have any plans for your voice acting in the future?
Yes. Honestly, I'm very geared towards creating music. It's been an outlet for me for different things, whether I'm in a great mood and if something has inspired me, or the total polar opposite, and I just need to just need something to relax. Or the voice acting for me has always just kind of been a really fun hobby. I don't know if I'd ever go professional with it. I mean, if a situation ever presented itself, maybe. But for me, it's just a hobby at this time. And plans for voice acting in the future, we'll see. We'll have to see what the future holds, I guess.
So if it comes up, it comes up. If not, oh well. Not exactly a priority. Sounds like.
Yep.
Hey. And I guess one more question for the both of you. Would you ever like to collaborate with each other?
Sure, why not?
I'm not against the idea.
Can I come along?
I love everybody, but damn.
Chroma, I know why you're chuckling. Oh my god, that was.
But no,
man.
I'm totally down to collaborate with Chi-chi in the future.
Yeah.
Now, with your experiences with your own like respective, I guess, communities, would you say that I'm pretty sure that both of you would say that all of your experiences so far in making music, I'm pretty sure that both of you would say that it's been worth it through all of the the challenges and the problems that people have tried to present. Are there any particular experiences that stand out to you guys as like especially interesting, especially insightful, things like that?
Groma, do you want to take a swing at it first?
Sure. Experiences that were kind of really insightful for me were, I'd have to say, experiences that really stand out. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where I would even start with that one. I'm not sure. I've had so many experiences through this. I've gotten to create really interesting music. I've gotten to reach out and talk with just incredible people. It's music has taken this. It has been an experience, honestly. I'm not quite sure if that answers your question at all.
I think it does, because it's like the question itself was a very open-ended one, because there's, I guess I can understand that with as much as you've done, there's going to be a lot of different experiences, and it's with more time that goes, it's going to be more and more difficult to like distinguish any particular experiences.
Chi-chi?
Yep, sorry.
What about you?
For me, one of the most it's a tiny thing, but oh my god, did it change stuff, was that I actually was, when I was watching my friends at a convention, in particular it was Odyssey Eurobeat, I saw them working on a song and how they were using everything in GarageBand and not GarageBand, in Logic, and how they use the controls there. And I was like, oh, so that's how you do X, Y, and Z. And it was like all these little insightful things that I saw when just watching them work. It's just kind of like, oh, now I understand this now. And that opened up a whole world of like learning how to write and compose different things.
Yeah. I mean, watching other people work is how I learn best. And it's those little aha moments when you see somebody just do something in a program and you go, wait, what? And then you watch it again and you go, oh, that's how I can make things not sound all inconsistent and wonky. Oh, and then you go and you do it and you feel really happy because you've just, even though it's just a little thing, it's like, oh, wow, now I'm slightly more competent. You know, it's like, I've made progress that I can, you know, like, just by seeing someone else do something I've been trying to figure out for so long, I have it now. I have a reference point, and now I can go and make it better.
No, with all these, oh my god!
Excuse me.
One of these days, I'm gonna get my tongue to actually cooperate with my vocabulary.
Girthy vocabulary.
Oh man, this has always been a thing with me. Yes, thank you, Mama Luigi. We are all a bunch of nerds. How about
I'm not
that?
a nerd. I'm a geek.
How about that 101 likes as Dalmatians, Luigi?
Yes, I am a nerd, but where am I studious?
So with all these, I guess with all these different like experiences you guys have had, you know, everything you've learned up to this point, and you know, with as much as it's done for you guys, like not only in your like presence online and your, I guess it could be a career at this point if you want to call it that, but with all of this, is there any like advice you guys would like to give in terms of like in personal advice or anything towards music that you guys would like to give that you think could be beneficial to people?
I think one of the best things I could say is keep going and be open to listen to people. And learn from the people that you're around. You can learn something from everybody.
I think it's, yeah, it really is your ability, your perseverance, your your relentlessness, as we talked about with Jun Yoon a couple episodes ago. Your relentlessness, your ability to continue going, your ability to maintain discipline and continue going on is a lot more important than how incredibly extravagant or complex your art is. You know, if your art is I guess you could, even if it isn't, not, I mean, it doesn't always even have to be palatable. If you are consistently uploading things that are up to your standards, whatever your standards may be, other people will gravitate towards it eventually. You just have to keep being consistent and putting things out there. And if you're proud of what you're doing and you enjoy what you're doing, nailing that consistency is really where it counts, I think. At least for me. That's where I've seen the most growth, is from just being consistent and being relentless and knowing when to stop and when to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Big piece of advice I could ever give is, if it's not going your way today, there's always tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, tomorrow's so annoying. It's always there. There's always tomorrow, man. Damn. Like tomorrow, can you just like stop coming around? Dude, come on, it's annoying.
That's definitely that. There is something I think can apply to a lot of different things, because in watching the artist community online, especially on Twitter, there's always somebody who's just like breaking down and just having enough of the day because of something that came up. Like, you know, some people will go on about like their follower count, but others will go on about, my art, is always sucking, right? It's never improving, or whatever the case. Or it could just be simple as something as simple as, it's just been a bunch of little things that went wrong. Like, I spilled my drink all over my desk, and then, dog pooped in the living room floor or something like that. And this is on top of, oh, this surprise bill of like $15 or something I forgot about showed up. And at some point, it just builds up and builds up until they're just done with it. But then I think that's something that'll be important to remember is, today sucks, sure, but that's just today. There's still tomorrow for things to get better. And even it's basically taking it one day at a time will be important for you, especially nowadays.
And I got one more, actually. The content you create, whether it's artwork, music, videos, writing, what you create is not a 24-hour hashtag. Because I know a lot of people have this struggle of, I have to, constantly be doing something to, feel like I'm being validated or something. And no, create what you want. You don't have to create every 3 seconds of your day. You don't have to create every 3 seconds. Create what you want. Create how you feel.
Right.
That's what people are attracted to, especially is, are you creating things that you are willing to put your name behind, right? That's what people are going to notice more than just what you're creating, period. It's going to be, are they standing behind with?
Yeah, that's actually going to be important. You want to make something that you're going to want to that you're going to be proud of. You don't want to just go look back on it and think you'll regret it.
Yeah.
But beyond that, yeah, I guess that's I guess I can work for this, because this has definitely taught me a couple other things out of the music side that I don't think I've ever caught on before. So this was definitely informative, at least for me, and I'm hoping it was for everybody else that was watching. So, quite honestly, thank you both for joining us on this one, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of stuff to learn, and it's especially important nowadays, because it's going to be one thing after another with us these days. Just make it on to the next day. We can we'll all see things improve at some point soon.
Yay.
Yeah. Until then, we've always got more music coming around that we can listen to. I can talk, I swear.
You've been doing a pretty good job of it, honestly.
I've been
just
trying.
a couple drops here and there.
I have been trying. I have really been trying. It's not easy, because my tongue is apparently a rebel from the rest of my body.
He's hitting his rebellious streak.
But yeah, I do appreciate it, guys. Thank you again, and hopefully we can see a lot more coming from you guys in the near future.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Is there anything you guys I guess I've been neglecting to do this before, but is there anything you guys want to plug while you're here, real quick?
Well, I got a bunch of different things coming out on Halloween, so keep an eye on my Twitter for updates on that.
All right.
Heck yeah.
Chroma.
And you can follow me at Chi-chi AI. Yep, that's it.
Actually, I've got both of their Twitters linked in the description of this stream/video.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
Find me on YouTube, Spotify, and other platforms, and I do have a live performance with some new music going on the 31st on my Twitch.
Heck yeah,
So that
dude.
should be interesting.
I'll stop by.
All right, definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Because I love music. It's always been important to me.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that goes for pretty much everybody here right now.
Yeah, no
Yeah, I
kidding.
think so. It's kind of a driving force. Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming, and thank you guys all for tuning in to Gab Hominem.
Oh,
This
yeah.
was a really fun episode for me. I got to nerd out a little bit with some musical pieces. That was something that I've been looking forward to doing for quite a while.
Really, I
And,
haven't noticed, Aidan.
Yeah, no, not at all. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out, and Ark, you can take it away for the final little outro.
Yeah, thank you all so much for tuning into Gab Hominem. There's definitely more coming up in the near future, so you guys, so keep an eye on that hashtag of Gab Hominem. Because I'm pretty sure I've got things lined up for the next couple of months. So keep an eye on it. I'll be announcing it in the week, basically in the week before. So keep an eye on it. Spread the word, because I want more people to be able to watch these and learn more from our guests. Previous episodes are still on YouTube for you to go back and learn from other people in the various different aspects of the creative field. So go and look for more of those. Until then, you guys, thank you for tuning in, watching, and listening. We'll see you all next time. You guys all have a wonderful weekend, all right?
Peace.
Yeah.